Annyeonghaseyo, everyone! Welcome back to our channel. So for today's video, I am going to teach you how to write element symbol and naming a polyatomic ion. So, Shiga Kaja. First is writing the symbol. We have here sodium sulfide. Let's look first their element if you have a periodic table with you. You can find sodium at the first column on your left side if you're facing the periodic table. Its symbol is Na with a positive charge of 2. Next, if you have like this or your teacher provided it to you, you can find the sulfide on the negative 2 charged ion column that shows SO3 with negative charge of 2. So now, we have Na positive 2 and SO3 negative 2. There are 3 possible types of ternary ionic compounds, wherein ammonium plus negative ion or nonmetal, second, metal or positive ion plus negative polyatomic ion, and third, ammonium plus negative polyatomic ion. We are applying the second type, the metal or positive ion plus negative polyatomic ion, because Na has a positive charge while sulfide has a negative charge. So Na plus SO3 with negative 2 charge, but their charge is not balanced as you can see. So we can use crisscross method like this, Na, SO3, and the under 1, negative 2, and then crisscross. So that you will get Na2SO3. Or when balancing, check how many Na needed to complete or balance with the SO3 with negative 2 charge. But how about if the symbols are just presented? So we have here the same given, the Na2SO3. It is simple to name this because you just need to look for their names. Na can be found on the periodic table, while sulfide can be found on the provided table of your teacher like this. Start naming the polyatomic ion. Na is sodium, and SO3 is sulfide. Na is a positive charge, and polyatomic ion sulfide is negative charge. So the first element that you will write is the sodium followed by sulfide. So it will become sodium sulfide. Or you can see cation first before the anion.
Throughout history, humankind has prevailed in our darkest moments, coming together to face the very thing that would extinguish our light. This is not one of those moments. At all. This is a moment for pretty much the opposite. For hiding, for laying low. Napping is also good. Saving humankind by really not getting near it. Where playing games, staring at screens, staring at anything, all are the stuff of heroes. Every generation has its moment, where individual sacrifice makes way for the good of those who will come after. A higher purpose. This one is ours.
Good day, I'm Daphne Maui G. Salazar, and I'm here today to discuss the naming of Na2S or sodium sulfide. To write the name for Na2S, we first need to know what type of compound we have. Sodium is a metal, and sulfur is a nonmetal. That gives us an ionic compound. It's also considered a binary ionic compound. We only have 2 different elements, which is Na and S. So we call this a binary ionic compound. And we use these rules here to write the name. So first, we write the name of the metal, and that's the sodium, as it appears on the periodic table. So Na, that's sodium. Next, we write the nonmetal as it's on the periodic table. So we write SuLfur. Small s, just small s here. After that, we're gonna replace the ending with IDE. So for sulfur, we change the ending to solve IDE. So the name for Na2S is sodium sulfide. If we had to go from the name back to the formula, sodium has a 1 plus ionic charge. Sulfur, that's 2 minus. So you can see why we have 2 sodiums here to balance out this 2 minus charge. So that's the naming of sodium sulfide.
While most New Jerseyans are working from home, the people on the front lines of coronavirus are truly our heroes. Every day, without hesitation, they're facing an invisible danger. And yet their dedication to keeping us healthy, safe, and fed is unparalleled. We salute their bravery, devotion, and compassion while we're social distancing. And if you happen to cross paths with these heroes, please join us in acknowledging their sacrifice.
Good day everyone, I'm here to discuss the topic about naming type 2 binary ionic compounds. As we all know, it is a compound in which a metal that can form more than one type of cation is bonded to a nonmetal. For naming type 2 binary ionic compounds, name the metal first, followed by a Roman numeral that is in a parenthesis to indicate the charge of the cation. Then, it is followed by the nonmetal with an IDE suffix. For our example, we have here the MnS or the symbol for manganese sulfide. The metal here is the manganese, so we will write manganese first. Then, its charge is positive 2. So we will write the Roman numeral 2 in a parenthesis, then to be followed by sulfur, which will become sulfide. Now, when writing the chemical formulas for type 2 binary compounds, add the subscripts to each atom in the compound so that the ionic charges of two different atoms add up to 0. Now, imagine that we did not know the formula for manganese sulfide. So write first the symbol of manganese, which is Mn, and as we can see, its charge is positive 2. Then, write the sulfide, that is S, and have a charge of negative 2. Both of them have already equal charge, so we don't need to add as they already adds up to 0.
Good day everyone, I'm Marin Caperal from 12 Justice. I'm here to explain to you how to solve type 3 binary compound. First, our given is PF6, so let's start. P is the chemical symbol of phosphorus. Since there is only one phosphorus atom and it is the first element, the prefix mono is not used. Next, F is the chemical symbol of fluorine. Modify the word fluorine by adding the suffix IDE to get fluoride. There are 6 fluorine atoms, so we will add the prefix hexa to get hexafluoride. Put it all together to get the chemical name, phosphorus hexafluoride. That's all.
How to write symbol of type 3 binary compound. So, we have here the same example, but this time, we are writing symbols of the compound. So, phosphorus hexafluoride, you can look for phosphorus and fluorine at the periodic table. To get their symbols, where P is phosphorus and F for the fluorine, remember that there are 6 atoms. That is why it called hexafluoride. meaning it is F6. Then combine the symbol, it will become PF6.
After a short ad, we will proceed to naming and writing binary acid.
A mask can say a lot about the person who wears it. But even more about the person who doesn't.
At first, you will think it's hard to do naming and writing symbols for acids. But actually, it is easy. And I'm here to show you how to name and write symbol of acids. We have here hydrochloric acid. Some will ask, how could we write the symbol? It's easy. Why? All acid contains hydrogen. Acid distillate the water to produce hydrogen ions. It means acids are just an ionic compound that contains hydrogen. So therefore, all acid has hydrogen. Going back to our example, we can now take the symbol for this hydrochloric acid. H plus 1 or positive charge 1 and get the root name of the element, and it is chlor, which is chlorine. But how can I identify if it is binary or polyatomic ion? If the compound doesn't have oxygen, we can use the IDE is equals to hydro blank or the root name of the element plus IC, acid. Hydrochloric doesn't have oxygen, so the chlorine will be chlor plus ID is equals chloride. So it will become HCl. Why? Because they have charge, positive 1 and negative 1. And as you can see, it is balanced, so it will become HCl. That's all. Now, how if the given is HCl? Remember this. My ride has hydraulics. I ate something icky. Sprite is delicious. As I say earlier, there are two types of naming acids, with oxygen and without oxygen. HCl doesn't have oxygen, so we will not using the 8 is equals to IC acid or the it is equals to O's acid. But we are using the IDE is equals to hydro blank or the root name plus IC acid. So H positive 1 and Cl negative 1 will become chloride, and we are getting its root name chlor, and add to hydro blankic acid, and it will become hydrochloric acid. That's it. Easy, right? I hope you learned something. 감사합니다. See you next time. 안녕.